Yeah, man, it's going down this Donnie Houston podcast. I am Donnie Houston. Check it out, man. We got a special guest, man, and I've said that before. But when you talk about just black music, and specifically in Chicago, this man is an icon. Historic George's Music Room, which you're sitting in right now, which is a dedication to that. We're here at Off the Record in Houston, Texas. Speakeasy, brand new speakeasy at 416 Main Street downtown. Listen, man, this man has done so much. I mean, his music industry involvement goes back, 5 decades at least. So it's a true honor to have him here. And I'm here with the man right now, George Daniels. What's going
Thank
on,
you,
man?
man. I'm glad to be here. Down here in H-Town, man.
Yeah. What's going on, man?
Shoot, man, down here hanging out with my nephew in this new place called Off the Record. Yeah. And I was just so honored that he thought that much of me that he wanted to create this room dedicated to George's Music Room.
Yeah.
And I guess it just shows the influence I had on him as he was growing up, because our family was pretty close-knit but spread apart across the country. Because I wound up coming to Houston way before he was born, but staying with my grandmother.
Wait, but you're originally from New York, right?
Oh, yeah, I was born in the Bronx. I'm like LL Cool J, born in the Bronx, raised in Queens. Yeah. So, but my mom, who was a Guillory, Louisiana, and she met my dad. He was from Leesville, northern Louisiana, and she was from Opelousas.
My dad's from Opelousas area, so yeah.
Yeah, so the Guillory family was a pretty prominent family as far as the demographics of the states and the cities that they come from. And when I was born, my mother worked up until the last half an hour before I was born in their first restaurant in the Bronx, New York. And by the time I was 3 or 4, they had restaurants in Harlem and the Bronx. And my 2 sisters, my brother, who was in the military, I didn't see him that much. My half-brothers, because my mother married my father. It was a second marriage. And the craziest thing about it, I don't think I was 12, 13 years old before I realized we didn't have the same dad. And their last name was Newsom, and mine was Daniels. But it just shows the love. And eventually, Mom and Dad got divorced, and it was me and Mother. She had a couple of the restaurants, and I was home alone. But, man, I always had a job. I had paper routes and what have you. I was never into craziness. And in that era, it wasn't what it is today or like it is today. And we moved from Queens to Jackson Heights. This is near LaGuardia Airport. And this would be my second school. My first one was PS 154 in Queens. We moved to Jackson Heights, and it was PS 143. And in New York, you go from kindergarten to 6th grade, you graduate, just like here. You go to junior high school. Well, I get to Jackson Heights, and so my new school is PS 143, where I graduated from 6th grade. Graduated 6th grade, and I'm getting ready to start junior high school, and I start at PS 16. And I get home, going to do my paper route, and then Mother gets home. She say, you want to go to Texas, live with your grandma? I said, yeah. I was shipped off to Houston. I didn't know anything about it. In New York City, going to public school. I went to school with white kids and the whole thing. Never dawned on me about what was going on down south, because we didn't see, the media coverage wasn't with today as it was yesterday in those days. And so I was excited to go to Houston. I get down there, man, I was so disappointed. I thought a stagecoach was going to pick me up. Yeah, because Texas, I was watching the Cowboys on TV and stuff. Roy Rogers.
That's all you know about Texas.
I think I'm going to see Gene Autry and shit, you did. And I get down here, and my grandmother owned Mama Alice's Cafe in 5th Ward on Gregg and Orleans. And the school, E.O. Smith, was across the street. And my grandmother had the cafe. I used to have to get up in the morning, open the cafe with her, then go to school. And my first experience in understanding Southern education is how to be polite. Yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. Well, I'm from New York City, and I'm coming there with yeah and no. That didn't work. Corporal punishment, I was getting my butt whipped every day. My grandmother had to come up and explain to them I wasn't from down south, because that was my first experience going to school with all black kids. And but there was forms of, I guess, discrimination in New York too. But I'm so young, I didn't realize it till later on in life. Right here, I have these 3 stitches in my finger, and it was the craziest thing. After school, you get home and you take your school clothes off, put your play clothes on. And this is during a time where in Queens and what have you, there was a lot of swamp land and, areas there. We lived in Parsons Gardens, like a development. Obviously, when I had looked back, it was for black folks. It was really nice. Actually, Billie Holiday lived across the hall from us. But of course, artists, just like when I came to Chicago, you sang, but you also had a day job. But on any event, me and my friends, we met to go catch tadpoles, little frogs, right? And I fell, busted my finger open. And my friend, my white friend, he said, come on. And he takes me to his house. And he calls his mom, because they live closer than I did. And she comes out, get that nigga out of here.
Ooh.
I thought we let something in. I didn't know what a nigga was. I'm serious. You didn't hear those type of terms.
You looking for what is a nigga?
I thought we let. And so my friend, I told him, I said, don't worry about it. Look, I thought you mad at me because
you coming in.
And it was me that she didn't want in that house. I rushed home and my sister took me to Jamaica Hospital. So every time I look at my finger and remember these stitches, I had to be 9, 8, 9, 10 years old, if that old, when that happened.
Wow.
Then there was another time.
Did you have to go home and talk about that with your parents? Like,
I didn't know what it was. Look, I wouldn't say nothing because I thought I did something wrong. I let a nigga out. I wasn't about the white people. That's my friends. See, I never even realized across Parsons Boulevard. We lived in Parsons Garden, and they lived in another area. But it wasn't on the news and stuff like it is today. It wasn't that type of media coverage. So much happens to black folks. Just think, if the same type of media coverage of yesterday was here today.
It would be crazy.
Man. Yeah. And see, so back then, people got away with stuff. Police, can you imagine how many black folks been murdered? But we see the few that it happens now, which is too many. But that
was just what was happening.
That's America. Okay, call it what it is. Yeah.
So around what years are these when you going through all of this? What years?
58, 57, 58. Because I wound up in Houston, like I said, starting 7th grade, and my grandmother got ill. Then I wound up living with different relatives, my mother's sisters and brothers and what have you. That's how Ellie's mom and all my other cousins, their parents became my parents. So in growing up, I probably had about 12, 13 sets of parents.
Subscribe to the Donnie Houston podcast, man.